Oh, he's got to go live, okay.
Oh, it's 7:29, but I'm looking at the clock on the wall, it says 7:30, I'm sorry. I'll wait, it's 7:28 to be exact. Now it's 7:29. It's 7:30. I'm going to call the Board of Trustees September 16th, 2020 meeting to order. I'm going to read a statement. In accordance with the current executive orders of the Governor, the Board of Trustees are permitted to meet in person and to permit public attendance at the meeting, subject to limitations. Board of Trustees is holding this meeting in person, and the public is permitted to attend. As an accommodation to those members of the public who have health and safety concerns related to COVID-19, the public also may hear the meeting on the Village of North Hills YouTube channel. The link to the YouTube channel can be found on the homepage of the Village website. It is www.villagenorthhills.com. In accordance with the Open Meetings Law, the public has the right to be heard on agenda items which are public hearings. On all other matters, the public does not have the right to comment on agenda items unless authorized by the rules of the board. Interested members of the public who wish to provide comments on an agenda item or public hearing may do so in person or through the written chat section on the Village YouTube channel. Comments may also be provided via email during the meeting to Village Administrator at villagenorthhills.com. The clerk will now call the roll for attendance at this meeting by members of the board and relevant village staff.
Mayor Natus,
Present.
Deputy Mayor Scambati,
Present.
Trustee Lentini, present. Trustee Arnold,
Present.
Trustee Cohen, present. Building Superintendent Chiquamani,
Present.
Miriam Caro, Administrator, present.
A quorum of the board is in attendance, and we can begin the business of this meeting. I'm going to ask you all to please rise as Miriam Caro leads us in the pledge of allegiance.
Place your right hand over your heart. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
The next meeting of this Board of Trustees is October 21st, 2020 at 7:30 p.m. The place or the access location will be announced on the village website. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from August 19th, 2020. Are there any additions or corrections to the minutes that were circulated? There being none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes from
Trustee Cohen makes the motion, trustee Arnold seconded the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
It's unanimous. There are two items on the public hearing. Both have been adjourned. I will move that we adjourn those two public meetings pursuant to the resolution that was circulated to the members of the board by the village attorney.
I'll second the motion. Dennis Gambatti, Deputy Mayor, Village Martell, seconds the mayor's motion.
Okay, the motion is made and seconded with regard to the public hearings. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous. Public hearings are adjourned to next month, October 21st. Item number 6 on the agenda, finance and operations. Mary Ann Carroll, our village administrator, can you please give us the treasurer's report?
Yes, checking account, $7,147,308.14. Repair reserve, $726,846.67. Park and recreation, $1,015,353. Capital reserve, village hall, $257,471.47. Special escrow, $92,580.02. Community amenities, $37,125,147.58.
Thank you. Are there any questions in connection with the treasurer's report? There being none, I'll entertain a motion that we approve the treasurer's report.
So moved.
Dennis Gambatti made a motion.
Deputy Mayor, North Hills.
Deputy Mayor Gambatti made a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Trustee Lentini seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 6B, payment of claims from the general fund. This is in connection with warrant 09/20. You will have an opportunity to review the warrant. Are there any questions or issues in connection with the warrants that are circulating? Anyone?
No.
I have none. I'll entertain a motion then that we approve the payment of claims.
So moved.
Trustee Cohen makes the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Deputy Mayor Gambatti seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimously approved. Item number 7A for board discussion. There are unpaid village taxes. You received, all the trustees have received a memorandum from Mary Ann Carroll dated August 28, 2020, with a list that has been updated as of this morning. And the list supersedes any prior lists that you have received. Obviously, pursuant to the real property tax law, section 987, the village administrator will be mailing a notice of unpaid village taxes to the mailing address of each owner of real property upon which the taxes remain unpaid, and a copy to the tax billing address if that's different. So I will entertain a resolution, a motion authorizing the resolution for an additional penalty of $2 per bill chargeable against the parcel and and added to the amount of the unpaid taxes, and that's to cover the expense of the mailing of the notice. So moved.
Second that motion.
Deputy Mayor Scarpati made the motion, and Trustee Arnold seconded the motion. Is there any discussion in connection with that motion?
I do, Mayor. Are we, is that $2 for each a month that it continues, that they don't pay the bill?
No, this is a mailing. We don't send it out monthly. We're going to send them a mailing, and we remind them that the tax is unpaid, and if they don't pay the tax subsequently, when the time is appropriate, we attach a lien.
Mayor, I think you inadvertently referred to it as a penalty.
Did I say a penalty?
Yeah,
I said it there. Oh, it's not a penalty. Okay, it's a charge. Yeah, okay. It is not a penalty. You're absolutely right. It is a charge of $2.
Per month?
No,
Like what was one time?
much fun there. Okay, it's a one-time charge of $2, and it's to be added on the unpaid tax.
So then, on
Trustee
this
Epstein
chart,
has a question, yes?
so then on this chart, should it not say penalty, should it say just the late fee, or just fee, or what?
No, there's a 7% penalty automatically ordered by law, but the $2 charge that we just are asking for approval is to cover the expenses of
Okay.
mailing.
No.
Any other questions?
Yeah, but are we sure that the residents here that have a large, outstanding amount here, are they current donors? Or maybe they're not donors anymore? Do we know that for sure?
That's the fact that according to the Nassau County, we use the county assessed valuation roll, and the county sends the taxes to this address, and that's what we do. Now, when the original mail went out with the tax bill, if there was somebody that no longer lives there, it would have been returned.
Okay. More than likely it is.
So this should be very current and accurate. Any other questions? And I'll entertain the motion with regard to the $2 as a charge against the parcel to cover the mailing. And all in favor, was it approved, or I just made a
Yeah.
motion?
Then we have it.
Discussion, all right. All in favor? Aye. Aye, unanimous. Item 7B, adoption of the new LGS-1 New York State Archives Record Disposition Schedule. Again, there was a memorandum dated August 28th from Marianne Lopacaro. Unfortunately, I don't have it yet, so if you look for it, you now have it. The retention schedule, LGS-1, which is a single comprehensive retention schedule covering all types of local governments. The schedule is in effect as of August 1st, 2020, and local governments such as our village must adopt the new LGS-1 prior to us utilizing it. So there's a resolution, a proposed resolution that we would like you all to consider at this meeting. The resolution speaks for itself. I'll make a motion that we adopt this resolution. If there's a second, we can then have any discussion.
I second.
Trustee Lentini seconds. Any discussion in connection with this motion? No. Anyone?
I have
All in favor of adopting this resolution as circulated?
Aye.
Aye, it's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, the next item for board discussion is the Lowell Cane Park. And I think Deputy Mayor Schiavatti may want to bring us up to date on that, or the building superintendent. But I think Deputy Mayor Schiavatti
Thanks, Mayor. Prior to Peter Singamani giving us some input on it, what we decided on with the contractor that's going to, whoever's going to get the playground part of the job, we want them to be responsible for furnishing and installing all the equipment and the playground equipment, the trash cans, the bulletin boards, whatever it is that's needed, rather than us buy it through state contract and having to have it sent to the village hall ourselves, store it, and then bring it to the park to have it installed by the contractor themselves. Because that we risk the problem of if there's something wrong with the equipment, they're not responsible for it. We become responsible for it, and the job gets delayed. So that's the reason why I passed it along to Peter Singamani, and he passed it along to Tom Levin, and Tom Levin said that we need to have a discussion amongst the board and then adopt that position. Okay, what did you say, Tom?
Up until the past week or so, when we found out that there was changing all the bid documents, things were put in the light on a different project, project. And if the board would like to do this instead, that's fine. The specs will have to be rewritten before we can go out to bid on it.
Okay, so yeah.
We will have to include in the specs every item of equipment that we want the contractor to successful bidder to purchase for.
Okay, yeah,
And to make a motion.
yeah.
Right, and then provide all the other terms for installation and so on, which we were contemplating that contractor would give to. This is going to cost us beyond because contractors will have to pay sales tax on all those purchases, whereas those would not. So if the contractor is going to be purchasing them, that will increase the price of the job. What we need to have in order to get these documents finished is the specs for every item that's supposed to buy. Model number or description.
We do have all that. We've already provided it to the architect doing the work on the project. So if the board decides that that's the direction they want to go, we're going to have the contract documents changed there, the plans and everything to show each model number for each item that we want used.
Right, and then obviously if the board decides that this is the way we want to go, then you understand that you will have to revise the bid documents so that everything is inclusive. I understand where the deputy mayor is coming from. This way it's all centralized with the GC or whichever contractor gets the job, and it's their responsibility and their problem, and the warranties will all come from them as well. And we think in the long run, it's much safer for the village to proceed on this basis, but that's up to the board. Well, if that's part of, if the bid, if they do the purchasing of the equipment, and that's part of the bid process or the bid document, then they're going to be responsible for whatever they supply. And if it's a 1-year warranty for their job, if that's what you put in the bid documents, then that's what's going to happen.
I don't think it works that way. You never get a contract with them, you know, if they have to one the product from someone else. Not normally what's done.
Well, why don't you then prepare the bid documents the way it's normally done and include the equipment?
And that's the next thing I was going to get to.
Yes.
The other thing is we have a list, because we don't have a list of equipment and knowledge. The people, I get the village board to do the bidding, and the village has to bid for either specific items if they're on the state contract or on the piggyback contract. Otherwise, they have to be for particular items or equivalent. If the contractor is going to purchase them, they all have to be for equivalent. So then it becomes, then you have to tell me what you want to do with it. Is who will make the decision if the contractor is an equivalent or not?
May I make an inquiry? Is the contractor, if the bid documents authorizes the contractor to purchase the equipment we spec as our agent, can that be incorporated in the bid documents?
Well, contractor is acting as a agent, they have a contract. That still doesn't get it off the hook. Either the contractor is purchasing or with it. The contractor is purchasing it, then we have to comply with what the village owner has to do when they make the purchase. If you make it part of a contract, if it's part of the job that he's bidding for, he'll do it. And on his own, you supply everything to you under the contract, not as you seem to want to have it both ways, which I don't think you can do.
Well, the only thing that we want, Tom, is we want the general contractor who's going to be awarded the playground job to be responsible for the equipment that we would like installed at the park. We don't want to buy the equipment. We want them to buy it.
When you say you want him to be responsible for the equipment, what do you mean by that? You mean he's responsible to purchase it?
That's correct.
Responsible for wiring it?
No, purchase it, store it, and timely install it.
Fine, that's fine, but the problem is that because you can't direct him to buy specific items of equipment only and not for equivalent. Then the question is, if somebody comes up with a contractor decides if there's another item that's an equivalent to what you were going to buy, if the village were doing it, the village would decide if it's satisfactory equivalent or not. If the contractor is going to buy it, who decides whether it's satisfactory equivalent?
Well, at that point, Tom, question, if we say or approve equal, at the end of the day, the village still has to approve the equal, correct?
Very likely, yes.
Okay, so at that point, can we make the bid document such that the park committee decides on approved equal?
Yes, it's difficult. When the contractor prepares this bid, they're going to go out and price this equipment. If they price an item that's an equivalent, not the exact one that you specified, how do they get a determination that that's an approved or equal when they haven't submitted their bid yet?
They usually, my experience with contractors is that they generally throw in a nice percentage of the total job for contingencies and other issues. And I think it becomes a contractor's problem, especially if it's subject to our approval. So if the equivalent has approved or subject to the approval of the village, if there is a substitution of which is equivalent, we decide whether it's equivalent or not. And if we're not happy with what they intend to put in or what they bid on, they'll cover it with cover their contingency. And most of this equipment is very comparable price. So it's not going to be, the deputy mayor has checked with a lot of experts on this, and the difference won't be that great between the various pieces of equipment and the amount of sales tax that we would save. It's not worth the storage and the coordination and all the other expenses and the potential delays. So I understand exactly where the committee is coming from. Any other questions? And Tom, from a time perspective, knowing that you have to redo the bid documents, what do you need from our building department and from the committee to try to get this redone within your time frame or your schedule?
Well, my schedule is going to depend on what my schedule may be, is depend on when I get all the information from the village. With the final steps of everything that you want the contractor to do.
Mayor, Tom, Dennis Gambatti. Mayor, I think at this particular time, with the amount of time that we've spent on the park project and whatever delays that we've had from one thing to another, I don't think that this park project will be underway in 2020. I think it'll be underway in 2021. So whatever time that Peter Sincamani, I really don't want to, we both attempted to put him under the gun and try to get it going so we'd be able to get a start on it for 2020. Let's all keep in mind that we started this in the tail end of 2018. So we're already 2 years into this park project that we approved. The $28,000 from McGowan on the groundscape, and we approved $34,000 plus for a Long Island fence. So those two items of the three items that we need to accomplish are done. But we're not going to, Trustee Cohen, Trustee Lentini mentioned that why should we put in the groundscape when the playground job has not been awarded, and that made a lot of sense. So we're not going to do the groundscape until 2021, and probably we won't do the fence until 2021. What's off? There's no need to rush anymore. And I think that I would be putting Mr. Sincamani under the gun by trying to get it going before it's necessary to start.
Well, the prices hold. This is
I'm glad you mentioned that, Mayor, because Peter Sincamani and myself, we asked about Long Island fence, and they said they were happy to get the job, and they would keep the price, the same price that they submitted a year ago. McGowan, the same thing. He would keep the price that he submitted a year ago. So that's not a problem. That's not an issue. The issue is the playground job, and that we have a couple of things that's spec'd out. We really don't think that there's going to be a problem with the specking out of three pieces of playground equipment, a bulletin board, some garbage pails, and some benches. It's rather simple, the items that we're looking at.
I have a question.
Any update from those two contracts that they will hold their prices and right along?
That's what I was going to.
Mayor, Mr. Levin, we didn't ask him that. But, keep in mind that we just spoke to them no more than a month ago, and I think that they'll keep the price till next year.
Well,
Mr. Sincamani could find out, we both could find out if that be the case.
that's one of my questions, was how long they would hold the prices.
We never asked
And
them.
the second question I have is, does it make any sense at all for those two contractors to do any of the work? Are you concerned that the fence could be damaged when the playground is done, or?
Yes.
Or-
I really don't. I
I
really don't. I really don't. You know, I'm very thrilled with that, trustee Cohen pushed us in the direction of this estate fencing. You know, the estate fencing versus the cyclone fencing is a positive. It's going to be a beautiful, fence to have in front of our park as opposed to the 3-foot cyclone fence that's there now. But there's no need to put it in now. You know,
That answers my
Yeah.
second question. No
Yeah.
problem. Okay. So now that we've had a full discussion, are there any other questions?
I just have one question. Tom, when the contractor purchases a new, one of the pieces of equipment, and normally speaking, the equipment would be guaranteed at least for a year, like what would happen if this swing set or whatever would collapse, that there was a problem with it? Would be covered under their the warranty from the manufacturer?
Things are going to have to require that the contractor to get all of this equipment with warranties that run to the village.
Right, that would be in the bid documents,
Yeah.
exactly. No problem. Any other good questions? Do you have anything to add, Mr. Chinquamani?
I think we covered everything. I mean, the only thing I'd like to add is that we've already picked all the equipment. So as far as moving forward with the equipment, we've already forwarded that to, the architect on the project. He has it. So once we give him the word, he's gonna put all that on there, and then I can forward also all of that to Mr. Levin.
So it'll be that or equivalent, so any equivalent has to be approved by the village.
Right.
Mr. Levy can put into the bid document.
We'll have him put or approved equal for every item.
yeah, I have a comment, Mayor. Point of information to all the trustees, our village administrator. We know the piece of equipment that we want. We spoke to the architect that's handling the project, and we passed that along to him. Those pieces of equipment are available from the manufacturer that we're asking the contractors to bid on. You know, and again, it's only 3 pieces of equipment. A jump rider for children, a seesaw, a teeter-totter for children, and those 3 pieces of equipment, they're readily available from the people that we want to buy, that if we were going to buy the equipment, and they would be able to purchase it.
So the contractor has the ability to purchase the same thing, and all we're talking about is maybe the sales tax.
That's all.
The point is that the contractor has the ability to, if the contractor has no obligation to do that, whereas the village can request, but it's the village to purchase it.
The village doesn't want to purchase it because we don't want to store it, we want to coordinate the job.
I know you're trying to point out that the discussion you just had, going to have it both ways.
No, we don't have.
If the contractor is going to use the purchase, you can't require the contractor to buy specific items that you designated merely because they are available. The contractor doesn't have to do that. They can give you something that's going to be subject to your approval, but you're still going to be reasonable.
Right, but, Mr. Levin, that is schematic. Don't you think that it behooves the contractor that if we ask him for these 3 pieces of equipment, that they're gonna move in the direction of what we want, as opposed, we want to prove is equal?
And like I said, if there was equal that's reasonable, you have to approve it. So remember, this is not a private job, it's a government job.
Right.
You're, by a whole set of rules, you're not applying to the private party.
I have a question, Tom. Would we have an issue if we, say we get 3 bids back after we send this out and all 3 show different equipment? Are we gonna have an issue with that the equipment could be priced differently from different manufacturers?
Couldn't answer that without seeing it happen, but yes, possibly. we could have an issue.
And could they mark up those costs as well?
It's gonna be in their job, it's gonna be.
Yeah, well, I'm saying.
I mean, at that point, we're taking lowest qualified bidder. So depending on what, as long as we approve equal, Tom, is that correct? We would have to approve equal prior to accepting the bid?
This is not a lowest responsible bidder project. The project has been set up in a way that it would not have to go to bid, but it doesn't have to go to the lowest bidder.
I have a question. Is it possible that we, village, could purchase the equipment that we wanted and then have it, even though on a state contract, and then have it delivered to the contractor to store and just pay us for it?
Yeah, here's the problem with that, trustee Don. The problem to that is that Hal, Cavallari, as well as Carlos, they're gonna have to unload the material that comes off, that's trucked here, and they're gonna have to store it, they're gonna take
No,
it.
not to be delivered here, to be delivered to the contractor.
The only issue, see, we kind of were worried that if we order it and it shows up and there's something missing or something wrong with the items, or it's not delivered here for us to inspect first, you know, then the contractor can say that something was missing, or whatever delay is caused by those items then becomes the village's fault, rather than us being able to say, you know, you as the contractor ordered the material, got the material, you should have inspected the material.
And the point taken is, yeah, it's quite honestly, is that, and I don't wanna spend the village's money, but we have $1 million in the park fund. We haven't spent $1 as long as I've been a trustee. Now that we're able to give the residents different pieces of equipment, updated equipment, and change the park, all of a sudden, like, we're worried about every penny that we're
I'm not worried
spending.
about spending the money, I'm worried about just asking the question, if that was a possibility.
And all we would say is the sales tax, it's not worth it. Simple as
Not a
that.
problem. Thank you.
Okay.
Not a problem.
Any other questions? Then I'll entertain a motion that we have the village attorney in coordination with building department and the committee prepare the necessary bid documents.
I'll make the motion.
There's no motion necessary to do that.
Okay. Well, I know your memo said it was we should be discussing it, so I thought maybe you wanted some sense from the board that we want to go forward this way.
The discussion gave me the sense of what we want to do.
Okay. Then you'll, as soon as you get the information that you need, I assume you'll start working on the bid documents. Thank you. That takes care of the whole game farm. Any unfinished business? Under, there being no unfinished business, under new business, I would like to discuss the village show survey. I had a call from the vendor. Although they have not, because the buses are off the road, they canceled the insurance, so it saves them some money. And they were anxious to get started again, and I told them until such time as it made sense for the shuttle service to continue, we would not be doing that. And when the people were going back and commuting, then we would consider it. So the interim, Mary Ann Lovacaro has requested from the village residents that do use the show, and she's prepared a very, very comprehensive survey in graph form and in Excel spreadsheet, which I hope you've all looked at. And it would appear, in summary, and I also had to check the time that they would be going. So we may be able to, obviously we can't go full speed ahead, but I would think that it makes some sense when the time comes and we restart the shuttle service, that we do it on a more limited basis. We could, if those people who travel in the morning, instead of them catching at 7:30, if they had to catch at 8 o'clock, or we combine at 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock, for example, we, instead of running 6, we might be able to run 3 to start. And as the usage builds up, we would do more. If we could start with 2, if that's the way, and we can see how it runs or how it works. And I think that you don't have to obviously go full speed right away. And the analysis is here. So in the morning, for example, some people have said they're not going back to work. 32 people that responded to Mary Ann said they're not going back to work until January. Some have told her they're not going back to work at all and no longer commuting. So when you look at it and you look at the numbers, and then you see the morning and afternoon usage, it seems to me that it would be sensible to restart the shuttle, that we do it on a more limited basis. Any comment?
I think what the board should keep in mind when the time comes, you'll need to have an amendment to the shuttle contract, because basically it's not performed by either side for a period of time.
Right. No question. So we'll do the amendment as required when necessary. Does anyone have any opinion or comment with regard to the shuttle?
What money do you want to do?
Keep in mind, only 18 people in the entire village are currently commuting. Only 18. And then in October, Mary Ann, the response to the survey was that there'll be 21. Now, Mary Ann, is that an additional 21?
Yes, so,
So at that point, it's 39.
yes,
And then 13 more in November. So 39 becomes 52. So there's no reason, if we want to start it sometime in October, at least we'll be accommodating 39 residents. Now, 39 residents could go into 2 buses and still be space without anybody sitting on top of each other, and we'll make sure they wear masks. That kind of thing.
well, I can always ask, I can send out additional surveys. This went to everybody who was on our current shuttle list. I did get some other responses by email, that's why I wrote in the numbers to incorporate it. The village has received a couple of inquiries regarding the shuttle. Many of the people who do respond to the shuttle, a lot of people do ride it very occasionally. So if you look at when people ride the shuttle, in the morning, you have 27 people that ride the 9 a.m. shuttle, but we went back and we looked at the historical, who rode the shuttle at 9. It's not 27 people a day. Those are people who go. We do have a lot of people with shuttle passes that ride the shuttle. I would say 1 to 4 times a month. Going occasionally.
Yeah, I tried to explain that earlier in the day to somebody. It's really not 27, it was 27 responses, but I watched that 9 o'clock shuttle. Sometimes there are 2 people on the 9 o'clock shuttle. The 8:30 shuttle is always more full, and the 8 o'clock shuttle is always packed. But when I see 27, it does, and as Marion is pointing out, it does not mean that 27 ride that shuttle every day.
Right. So
Maybe not. There's never 27 people on the 9 o'clock shuttle.
because we have pretty good data that we can analyze back on when people were riding the shuttle, we can kind of tell what numbers look sort of, are correct and what are not. Just wanted to point out, I sent the shuttle to about 250 people on my email list, and I received about 150 responses.
Right, so there's still 150 that haven't responded.
Well, some people have, moved out of the village, they don't, they didn't.
110 haven't even responded. So either they're not interested or they don't read their emails. But anyway, it's something that we have to start looking into, I think. I also want to be fair to the vendor. The purchase new equipment, basically for the village at the time. Nobody expected the COVID-19 and the pandemic. So they understood that when they had to terminate it, the city was shut down. I don't know when they're gonna reopen the city to office buildings, et cetera. I do have some people that I know are going 3 times a week. Some people go in once a week, et cetera. So we have to keep our eye on it. I also think that we should analyze, now that we have this response, Marianne can compare with the data that we already have, what shuttle hours were most used. So if the 8 o'clock shuttle always had 20 people, if you remember, we expanded the size of the buses because there were certain times where they had to do a double trip. That's why we expanded the buses, the size. So that's something that we have to look at. And I just wanted the board to know that it's being worked on. We're now aware of it. And I would like to continue that shuttle service as soon as it's practical to do so. Got it? Any other questions? Anybody? Any other new business? Anyone?
Mayor, both myself and village administrator, Oliver Carroll, we had a webinar with Nassau County hazard mitigation plan. We spent about an hour and 20 minutes on the webinar, and they told both Mary Lovagar and myself the time frame that the plan was going to be submitted to Nassau County and then brought back to each individual village, and we will submit it to the board for approval to go back to Nassau County so they can have the plan in place. Mary Ann, would you like to?
Yeah, there are specific guidelines for the hazard mitigation plan. Our comment period for our committee ends September 22nd. Then after that, we'll circulate the entire plan to the board. There's a public comment period for the month of October to put the plan on the website, and there'll be documentation that I'm going to receive from Nassau County. After that point in time, then the plan will be presented to FEMA for approval. And they're hoping that that process will continue, and hopefully the plan will be ready to adopt in January of 2021.
It's a 5-year, Dennis Gambatti, again, it's a 5-year plan. They're trying to make everything fit for the next 5 years when they approve it in 2021.
Very good. Thank you both for your help with this. I don't see any other new business. We have no reason to go into executive session, so I therefore entertain a motion to adjourn this meeting.
I make that motion.
I can't.
Trustee Cohen makes the motion. Trustee Arnold seconds the motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Thank you, Tom. Good night, everyone. Stay safe. Thank you all.
Thank you.